to everybody in the room today. And I would like to begin by taking a step back from the debate and examining exactly what has been presented to us in today's debate. The proposition came up in their first speech, and Brenda told us about this serious issue, and the opposition completely agrees wholeheartedly. Women and children do need health care. This is incredibly important for the health of our nation. However, the opposition also pointed out that President Bush already addressed this issue, so there really is no need for us to debate over whether or not women and children deserve health care. Now, in today's debate, I will present 5 voting issues. These are based on what has been said in today's round. Now first, the proposition has not addressed a harm. For a plan to be enacted, there needs to be a reason to enact it, a harm. So, in our healthcare as it is today, there is no problem with the treatment of women and children. As my partner pointed out, the plan that we currently have has not had time to take effect. The children who were born when this plan was enacted are not even 1 year old yet. Women who received prenatal treatment from this plan and had their child after this plan was passed have not celebrated the first birthday of their child. We cannot make a measure of how effective this plan is if the children haven't aged past 1 year even. It is not fair to judge this plan as it is today. So the statistic about us being the 22nd in infant mortality will surely change in the coming years. So really, we need to take a step back, we need to sit down, and we need to let this play out and find out how effective Bush's plan is. And we, as the opposition, believe it will be very effective in solving that problem. Second of all, their plan does not have total solvency, as my partner touched upon in his speech. Women on welfare are not the only women who cannot afford health coverage. So even if there were this terrible harm and we did pass their plan to solve for this horrible harm, their harm would only solve for women who are unemployed and are living on welfare. There are scores of women in America who cannot afford health care and who do not live on welfare. That is why President Bush passed the plan that he passed in 2008. Our third voting issue. There has not been sufficient time for the plan enacted to take full effect. As they have stated, the first 5 years are critical. The children born under this plan have not seen their first 5 years yet. We need to let them see their first 5 years before we can even begin to retool this system so that we can understand the impact it will have. We should not be going and increasing taxes and injecting more taxpayer money into a system that already exists, that is solving harms as we speak. Our fourth voting issue. They asked about our plan. They wondered, okay, well, where exactly does the funding come from? How much are we spending? Where exactly will this money be spent? However, that is not what we're debating today. That was debated in Congress. Much higher powers have already spoken about this issue, and they decided that this plan would be far more effective. I believe that Congress has an exponentially higher ability to rule on this, so we should trust Congress in their decision. And our fifth and final voter. If we don't do anything, we won't be spending any new money. We won't need to raise 1.5% taxes. This is the absolute most terrible time for raising taxes in the recent, say, 50 years of American history. For the past 50 years, we have not seen a greater economic downturn. There is absolutely no reason why we should be raising taxes, raising the strain on citizens to solve for a harm that has already been cured by a plan that was passed 1 year ago. So in today's debate, there is absolutely zero reason to vote for the proposition team. All of the benefits in today's round lay in the hands of the opposition. I must strongly urge a vote in favor of the opposition team in today's debate, and would like to once again extend the thanks to everybody in the room. Thank you very much.
First of all, I'd like to extend blanket thank yous to everyone in the room. I lot to cover, so I'm going to dive right in here. Again, just as the conclusion speech you just saw, I'm going to take a step back and only look at the voters in this round. The first thing I want to address is basically what the whole debate has come down to, that this plan is already in place. Now, there are many things under this I would like to address to show how, whether or not that's true, how the proposition still has ground in this debate. First, as we've seen, they said this plan has just been passed, but again, the statistic that we are 22nd in infant mortality, this is a huge number. They keep trying to dismiss this by saying the plan is new. However, I'll get to that in just a moment. Which also falls under that. We don't know what these plan details were. I asked this question twice, and especially when I asked it a lot more clearly, all I got, the response I got was, don't think about that. Basically, there's already a law helping these people. They didn't tell me, did he raise taxes? Did he take the tax money from somewhere else? Is this coming out of healthcare taxes? Is this coming out of welfare taxes? Exactly how long they were allowing this to take effect. They had no details of what alleged plan Bush had put in. Since this is really the only thing the opposition is arguing, you would think they would actually have details behind what they were saying. You would think that they would know what the plan was instead of just saying, there's a plan. You would think that they would know what the plan was. Also, when asked the first time, when this occurred, they were giving out the number during the Bush administration, during the Bush reign, sometime during those 8 years. Then during the end of their second and last speech, they started saying last year, last year, last year. Again, this sounds like it may have been made up on the spot, or maybe they just remembered this key fact midway through the debate, or it just sounded logical. However, when asked the first time for these details, they weren't given. We have no idea what the credibility of anything they're saying is. Yes.
2008 was last year. Thank you.
Yes, that is when the Bush term ended, but you never said what year this was passed. When asked what time this was passed, they said sometime during the Bush administration. That's 8 years. They didn't come up with the precise figure last year until the very end when they started trying to show the credibility of their plan. So again, when they were asked about the only thing their case is based on, they knew nothing about it. You cannot vote for something that they don't know anything about, especially they don't know the efficiency of it. Maybe there is a plan, but it's not asking for any extra money. They're maybe saying, with the leftover money, we're going to try and do this. So we don't know how efficient this is or how much work is going into this plan. We know nothing about anything. And again, one of the voters in this round is how pragmatic it is, how efficient it is. And as you can see, this plan doesn't seem to be efficient. And again, we know nothing about it. You cannot vote for something that even the opposition does not know what their plan is. Our second voter is the benefits. Again, we have all these women and children helped. We have all the sickness, death, complications avoided. Again, throughout the 3 contentions that I've been bringing up. Women that need prenatal care, how the first 5 years of a child's life are critical, and how it really isn't too hard to pass this plan. You can see that this plan would be beneficial. And again, the opposition has not clearly shown that there's all these benefits already coming up. There are so many cases where women and children don't have the care they need, and we are trying to solve for that. Our third voter is that of costs. Again, there isn't much of a cost to this. It is a small % increase that the opposition has not even said is unreasonable, which must mean that they have no issues with this small tax raise. Also, since the opposition has no disadvantages to our plan other than the fact that they think something is already going on, they have nothing to vote for, nothing that they stand on. Also, the last thing they kept bringing up is that we don't have total solvency. Of course we don't have total solvency. We're not trying to fix all of the healthcare problems in America. We are being very specific, again, because one of our voters is being pragmatic. If we try to say, let's help everyone, that won't be as effective as, okay, these people need the help the most, let's try and get them taken care of. Again, we picked a bit of a narrower target for a reason. And for all these reasons, particularly that we have shown that there isn't a real plan, at least isn't an effective plan that even the opposition knows anything about, you must vote for the Proppsition team in this debate. Thank you.
I tore apart your plan when you didn't have a plan. Oh yeah. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt on proposition. I don't think that's maybe fear, uncertainty, doubt.